When you retire, you may get a chance to go to football heaven. This is football heaven.
Well, today we're super excited to be joined by Sylvester Pinckney. Sylvester, welcome to the mission, sir.
It's a privilege, Jamar. I'm very excited and very humbled to be part of your show.
You know, Sylvester, we talked in my opening about how we're going to take the time over the course of May to really get a chance to learn about some unique stories of sports professionals that are not only rocking it in the boardroom, but they're also doing magnificent work in their communities. And they learn these life lessons, whether it was on the gridiron or the basketball court. And for yourself, before we dive in and talk about your football journey, tell everybody, for the viewers and listeners, who is Sylvester Pinckney?
Well, Sylvester Pinckney is a local kid here from Jacksonville, Florida, Duval County, born and raised. Parents is Sylvester Pinckney Sr. Mother is Yvonne Pinckney. I have a couple of siblings. I have my brother, who's the head football coach here at the local Duval High School. My sister, Cheryl, she works at the property appraiser. And I have my baby sister, who works at the Florida Blue. I have a lovely wife of 23 years, Sabrina Pinckney. Yes. I have a 22-year-old son, Jarrell Pinckney. And I'm loving life. Yeah, I'm loving life.
Before we
raised here.
Duval.
So Duval County.
Duval County. So before we dive in and talk about some of the magnificent work, as I mentioned, that you're doing in the boardroom and within your career, let's talk about your football journey. I'm reporting inside of the Black College Football Hall of Fame gallery, and I think you know this man right here who's above me, who is a Hall of Famer, and your connection that you have with him, among other Hall of Famers that are enshrined in Canton, Ohio. But in particular, you are the pride of Mississippi Valley. Take us through that football journey and all of some of those life lessons that you've learned along the way that you carry with you today.
Yes, Willie Satellite Titan, Mississippi Valley State, the small town of Enid Bena, Mississippi, and not too many things going on. The legendary coach Archie the Gunslinger Cooley. I don't think I even hit 18 years old once I hit campus. I was one of only two at the time that he was able to pull from Florida. One of my teammates, Robert Marshall out of Pensacola, he passed away a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. So we was two receivers that he pulled out of Florida. We went down there and kind of made an impact early. But the journey there taught me a whole lot. I could have went to some local schools in Florida, especially HBCUs, but nobody was running the 5 wide receivers and throwing the ball around. I didn't have a guy named Jerry Worrell Rice to emulate. So that journey was a powerful journey. I have developed so many friendships till today that I still make contact with them. So that was a powerful journey in my life, and surrounding myself with those people that took me under during those times.
How did life being in Duval County prepare you for that journey at Mississippi Valley, coming into that locker room as a freshman and working with the great Willie Totten, who had to receive, like you said, Jerry Rice, Pro Football Hall of Famer, that will go on to set numerous records within the National Football League. But how did life growing up playing Pop Warner high school ball prepare you for that chapter in your life?
Growing up in football, when you come from my neighborhood, you play, it's tackle in the grass. So we call those sandlot. That started, our journey, just learning the toughness of sports, having some young guys older guys that was in the community to help push the fight and the drive to be able to play sports. And then was blessed to have a foundation of my parents, that support system. My dad played way back with back in the day where they couldn't go no other college but to a historic Black, which was the local Edward Waters University here. So he was able to, it was in my DNA to move forward. And, it was just having that foundation piece from my parents, growing up, instilling education first, because in my household, if your grades wasn't right, you don't play. If those chores wasn't completed at home, you couldn't go outside. So those foundational pieces always start from the home, which I kind of took with me to the Mississippi Valley State, where I went in, and didn't matter. I was always competed. It doesn't matter, so that foundational piece from my parents, the neighborhood I grew up in, gave me that foundation piece to drive and work hard. Even when things don't go right, you keep pushing yourself. So that kind of helped me out going into the Mississippi Valley State campus.
Well, there's some competition. I think you downplaying, and we're going to dive into this because there's something in the water in Duval County when you think of Robert Lee, when you think of Rains High School. I mean, I'm just writing down as you were talking. You're talking about the great Greg Coleman, the great Harold Carmichael, the great Brian Dawkins, Emmett Smith. These are some great names that you had the opportunity to play against in high school in that competition. Share those rich stories with us.
Well, one of the older guys that Ken Barrows family stayed around the corner from the neighborhood I grew up in. So I used to see Earl Campbell when I was a little boy come around, big old huge thighs, when I seen the 00, when you seen all these historic, right behind me is the Bob Hayes statue. If we walk across over here, we had the Bob Hayes statue, which during the time when my dad played. He was at the local Gilbert High School at the time. Just seeing all the historic figures, the Walter Paytons, the Jerry Rice, the Jackie Slaters, the Lord Humphreys, everybody, man, it's a rich environment. And not only that, to be able to, during the game, to walk across after a game with Grambling State University and shake the hands of the legendary Eddie Robinson. Man, come on, man. That's dreams. So man, I had a rich, just looking at all, when I was at the museum, and just looking at all these historic figures, and then looking at how many came from the Jacksonville, Duval County area. Man, we rich, man, and the things though, related to sports, man, and so I look at it like this here. I was born to be bred to be a performance, and from coming from Duval County, looking at all these legends, Albert Chester Sr., he one of the first quarterbacks at Florida A&M to win the championship. Me and him talk every day.
Wow. Wow.
So it's rich, man.
Well, Sylvester, it's one of those things that you're at Mississippi Valley. I want to dive in and talk about some of the mentors that you had along the way that helped you, that shaped and molded you. And what were some of those values that they instilled in you?
Well, I think two names I'm going to bring up. One name is Albert Edwards and Daryl Gaines. Albert Edwards owned an environmental company in Atlanta. He served like 50 states. And Daryl Gaines is one of the top executives in NASA. When I came in as a freshman, they brought me in their dorm room and was showing me the ropes about, you make sure you get your lessons, you make sure you do all these things, make sure, they was an example of when we talk about student athlete, they was an example of a student athlete. Regardless of how many hours we practiced, they made time to make sure they got the education piece completed before doing everything. So just the value of keeping the student first above the athlete, the drive, being able to work and through diversity, when everybody's not built to being Mississippi, I'm a Florida boy coming out. I'm like, well, I'm in this, mosquitoes bigger than your fist, and, but that taught me, first of all, leaving from home on my own without anybody there, learning to grow from a teenager to a young man, develop that character of being able to relate to others, seeing other friends around town, around the campus that from different other stakes. So I mean, that was like that was my foundational piece that I learned, especially those two guys there. When you mention those guys, because like I say, at that time till today, they still thriving.
That's amazing. And leaving college, graduating with your education, and transitioning that into the business world. Let's talk about some of the things that you have going on, because we talked about your football career, but I really want to dive into about how you took those lessons learned on the gridiron and you applying them to what you're doing today, and you're living out those Hall of Fame values.
Right. And I think that football is sports period, but football is a different type of sport where everybody's dependent on each other, as a team, everybody, when you win, it ain't one person say that you won. No, it's a group. So it taught me that togetherness, that love, that brotherly love, the love that we still have today with each other, the foundational piece of how to give back, to see kids who may not have been blessed to get a college scholarship where my parents didn't have to work, have to pay for it. And that's a blessing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just taking those values and saying, hey, I know that I had a foundation. I want to be able to take what I learned and give back to those who don't have that foundation. So I just try, I just try to use that into what I do today in Jacksonville, in the community, and what we're doing as a whole here.
And you did just that. You brought a group of young kids to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Now, we like to say this is the most inspiring place on earth, but you talked about how you wanted to bring the kids here to Canton, Ohio, to get that inspiration, to show them those lessons that you carry with yourself. So tell us about that trip of you coming here to Canton, Ohio.
Well, so what the blessing was that I was asked to come on the trip with the Anthony Stinson Association for Change Foundation. So Anthony Stinson Sr., 2013, his son was murdered by a drive-by shooting. Yes. So he was like, I got to create something in my son's name. He died a few days before turning 21. Wow. So he said, I have to do something to be able to be impactful and give something for these kids to have the mindset changes and be able to be a support piece to the community. So he does a lot of things in the community besides the trip that we took to Canton, and we had a marvelous time. But when we took, we was able to have 10 African-American males. We did a raffle in January. And through that raffle, those 10 names that we pulled out was awarded to go on the trip, all expense paid for. They didn't have anything that they had to pay for. There were a lot of them, it was their first time flying.
That's why I wanted to ask you, was this the first time these young men getting on the plane?
Yes, the first time. The first time, a lot of them, it was their first time even meeting each other. So it was a bonding trip where when we talking about life lessons, life experiences, those are things that we can always revert back and talk about, So that was very powerful. But Anthony does a lot in the community, still feeling the effects of losing his son in 2013. That never changes, But he also said that I have to do something to be able to change the mindset of those who even was a perpetrator in killing his son, So that's impact. So taking those 10 boys, man, and they was like, oh my God, they was like loving it. Each one of them got $100 a piece to spend. We was able to go to Philly to one of the Quakers' house where they was hiding the slaves. So it was an educational trip.
Wow.
It was history that they was able to learn about the ancestors, taking trips to learn about the historic museum of all these stars that they read about, hear about, even the ones that they don't know about, where the game started, finding out that on the, I think it's 365 Hall of Famers, if I'm not mistaken.
367.
That's adding Leroy and Tony. right?
Leroy, you say Leroy. We're gonna
I'm
say
gonna come to that one. Oh,
we're gonna
we're gonna get to that one. Yeah. Leroy.
Leroy.
So just finding out that that on all the cards there,
Yes.
you only have one that's on there not an NFL Hall of Famer, you know. And that's what's his name? The defensive back from Arizona Cardinals. He's
Aeneas Williams.
No.
No.
This the one. Remember, he turned his career in and went to the military.
Oh yes, Pat Tillman.
Pat Tillman is the
Rest
only
in peace,
one
bless him, yes.
that's in there with the Hall of Fame players and that their cards.
Yes,
That's
those
not
cards.
NFL.
Yes. On the
That's
wall,
powerful.
the wall of cards. Yes.
That's powerful.
Yes.
You know,
How did the kids like the trip?
man, they loved the trip. They was talking about the trip probably 2 weeks after we got back. Just talking about the sharing off to their classmates because their parents called us.
Wow.
The parents loved it. You know, it was just able to attach those local guys that's in the Hall of Fame with their buses to see that they was from Jacksonville.
That's right.
It's powerful.
That's right.
So it was an educational, historic, a long-lasting effect on these kids, as well as us, to see these boys just genuine, just love it, just care about it. I mean, so Jameer, today they still talking about it.
That's great. Let's talk about Kids Hope Alliance. Tell us about that organization.
Yeah. Well, Kids Hope Alliance, we wanted the Children's Service Council in the state of Florida. They have them in Miami, Broward County, Palm Beach, and what's different between us and them, our budget is dependent on city council every year to pass it.
Okay.
It's about maybe $50-60 million deal. Now down south, they have what they call a taxing authority district, where the community vote on this half tax cents. They create dollars, so they're able to spend it across the board on how they want to spend it. We are governed, by the city council and our board on how we spend it. But some of the organizations that we give funding to is like the Boys and Girls Club, the communities and schools, the YMCAs. We even have some small mom and pop programs where they do. You heard of Malave, Washington, tennis pro.
Yes.
Malave is when you come next time, we'll go visit him. He finished 11th in the world. Every year he have this gala that bring in Andre Agassi. Venus and Serena's always here. Yeah, wow. So he comes and he's his family is from Mississippi, but guess what? When he retired, he said, I want to retire in Jacksonville and put my program in the urban core community.
That's amazing.
That's
amazing.
So we have some amazing providers that's doing great work.
That's amazing. Great work. I have to ask you, because the Hall of Fame values, and I may be leaving out one, and please feel free to talk about, but when you think of the values of commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and honesty, which one exemplifies what you're doing in your profession today?
Well, I think that the determination to be able to help others who can't help themselves. Just give me one of the other values. What was one of the other ones, Jameer?
That was commitment, integrity.
Commitment, integrity, and these are values that's going to take them throughout their life.
Right.
Integrity.
Right.
Doing things when the camera's not on, doing the right thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Commitment. When you start something, finish it. These are values, and I think sometimes, I was telling some of our leaders, sometimes when we go to talk to kids, I talked to a couple kids a couple months ago, about 30 athletes at my alma mater, me and Leroy's alma mater, Leroy, our alma mater. So, but one of the things that we always bring up, we always talk about where we at. You can't, they don't want to hear that.
Right.
Where you were at their age. So we got to leave all our accomplishments, all our degrees out the door, and talk about these things. Talk about, hey, we made mistakes. We never made the same mistake. We never made the crucial mistakes, because there's mistakes that will come back and haunt you. And one of the things that we talked about, that I talked to this group about, was determination,
Mhm.
perseverance, and choices. And when I talked about this group, about choices, my phone went off. My phone went off, and I asked the group, can I read it to you? It was Henry Ruggs' situation where he was speeding and ended up. So those kids was like,
Yeah.
So we were just talking about decision making,
Right.
and they all resonated with him, So
Right.
so those are the things that we try to resonate, that the Hall of Fame is doing a great job at.
That's great. That's great, Sylvester. So we've been kind of dancing around it, and I know we called him Leroy and Leroy, but congratulations to the
Right.
2020 newest member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Green Bay
Yes.
Packers legend, Mr.
That's right.
Leroy Butler is not only a former teammate at Mississippi
Yes.
Valley with you, but he's a dear friend.
No, Florida State. Remember, he was at Florida
That's why.
State.
Excuse me. He's at Florida State. You
Florida
was at
State.
Mississippi Valley. I
Yeah,
apologize.
right.
Yes, because he did the oopsie roopsie, the
Right.
oopty,
Yeah,
or
the Pumpsarooski. Yeah.
the Pumpsarooski. I'm sorry. That's a mess up on my part.
No,
I knew
that's
that.
good.
I know better. But
Yeah.
however, you guys are well connected. Let's talk
Yeah.
about that friendship.
Well, let's talk about Leroy.
Yeah.
Leroy, Hall of Famer, and I always told him to be patient. That time is coming,
Right.
Then you have Roy, Roy, termination, Hall of Famer, be patient. Then you have Leroy, the one that we grew up with.
Okay, so there's three. So there's
Yeah.
three. So I know Leroy.
Right.
And then there's Roy, and then there's Leroy.
Right.
Okay, tell me about Leroy.
So Leroy is the kid from the Blodgett home, which is a Section 8 style apartment where he came up in a tough environment. I actually read up the road, right where he lived at, and when you come to town, I'll show you. It's an Amicos right across from where he stayed deep inside of those apartments, which he had a lot of things going on. So
Right.
Bobby Bowden used to meet him at the Amco, and some of the guys would come and walk him to Leroy's apartment that sits deep in the heart of where he was. That's a little history.
Wow.
Yeah. So you got Leroy.
Uh-huh.
You have Roy, and all three of those guys always been a Hall of Famer. Always Leroy, whether you call him Leroy, and which I got that from Terrell Buckley, his Florida State teammate. He said, I've been knowing Leroy ever since I've been knowing Leroy ever since he was Leroy. So we always we was laughing about that last month when he came, but whether you call him Leroy, whether you call him Roy, whether you call him Leroy, all three of those guys has always been a Hall of Famer, very talented. We knew it was going to be special. He started with us his 10th grade year, so he was very special, very special.
What did you say he was very special? What
Right.
was it that you knew that he was going to go to the next level from school, then to Florida State, and then make it on to the pros, and now he at the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
Leroy, he had this kind of ability because he started his 10th grade. Because we had we were stacked at linebackers, defense was something. So
this is at Robert Lee High School, correct?
Yeah, Robert E. Lee, which is, they changed the name to Riverside High, but Robert E. Lee High School.
Okay.
So, but he had this ability to understand the game could slow down to him. He can be read on the play. And I think his 10th grade year, I think he had 8 interceptions, 10th grade. He took 6 back for touchdowns. 8, and he took 6 back. Trust me. I say he's special. He came up on blitzes. Everything you seen him with the Packers, he was able to do. And then, because I'm a year older, and he was able to play on both sides of the field after we left, because we was loaded, we was loaded on his year, he'll tell you. But he was able to play on both sides where he played the wing. So he was he was just special. He was just special, man. And you see him, you like, man, he got the it. I mean, he was never right. He was a very soft-spoken guy. A very loved to joke. He's a jokester. Yeah, okay. He's a jokester. So when we looked at him, we was like, he has that it. He has that it, man. Very special. It's very special.
How proud are you of Leroy?
Man, I'm very proud. Matter of fact, the last week I texted him a couple weeks ago, say, man, we are so proud of you. I am so proud of you because I seen that growth. I seen how he put the work in. Just being patient, listen to his mom who has been deceased now for a few years. Just now, fulfilling the things that I know that eventually it was gonna come, man. I am so proud of him, man.
That's beautiful.
So proud of him. Yeah. And then I'm very close with Edgar Bennett, who played with him a long time at Green Bay. Edgar grew up with me in my neighborhood and followed me to Robbie Lee. So we all, we are very, very excited about Leroy, Roy, and Leroy getting in the Hall of Fame.
Sylvester, we talked a lot in great detail about all the great work that you've done in the community and within your job, but I want to talk about how you were a gladiator, not only on the gridiron, but October 2015, you learned something about yourself, and quite frankly, just reading through, this is one of the fights of your life. Let's talk about that.
Yes, it was a time where you mentioned about what sports with football helped me, but this part helped me fight for life. 2015, 2016, I had a little lump on that. My wife kept saying, you need to get that check. Okay. So we ended up getting a check. We did all the blood work, did all the scans, and turned out I had follicular lymphoma, stage 4. It's no 5. So I'm like, we all teared up, and my son, it affected him very bad, so once we kind of say, hey, we it's what it is. Let's figure out what we need to do. MD Anderson here was only here from three weeks from Houston, Texas. So they was here. It just looked like everything was the right timing. I got in there and they confirmed that Dr. Gorak, who is my doctor now, he's like the chief over all of it now. And we was able to confirm what it had. We went on a treatment for 6 months where I took some tough chemo. Then I ended up doing a scan. Again, it was clear. And he said, let's come back another month and let's see how it comes. A hot spot started back, Yeah, a little hot spot. So he said, what we're gonna do, we're gonna kill it, get rid of it. Then we always talked about doing a bone marrow transplant, which is here at the local Mayo, which using my own marrow. So once we got everything cleared, and got over there, we went through the process. They checked my marrow, make sure everything was cancer free. Went through that process. 2017, I did a bone marrow transplant. But that piece there, when you face life or death, something else comes out of you. That's that determination where your family love you, everybody supporting you, everybody, but that's that one-on-one battle. It's the mindset. It's that drive. It's like, okay, all right, this is what's happening. This is what we got to do. That's when that determination, resilience, all of those things kicked in.
Yeah.
I went to do my bone marrow. I had about 11 top of the nation doctors. They were like, yeah, what you have to go through, Mr. Pinckney. I said, yeah. They said, well, after you do the bone marrow, it take like 7 days because the chemo they give you is the toughest chemo anybody. They tell you, I lost my hair. I beefed up to 245 purposely because of the chemo, right? So it's a 7-day thing. So the doctor said to me, they was like, well, you'll have to be here like 4 months afterwards. So I looked, I said, no, I'm not gonna be here that long. I said, matter of fact, I said, since I'm gonna be here, I need a stationary bike in my room. I need some elastic bands in there while I'm here. And they looked at me, Jameer, they looked at me like, what? So went through the chemo on the first day. I'm on a bicycle. I forgot they had a heart monitor hooked up to me. They rushed in and they scared me. I was like, what's wrong? They were like, your monitor went off. I said, I'm exercising. So day 3, those 11 doctors came in because I told them I was different. They came and they said, you are different. So after that 7-day, I stayed probably a month, right? And I got out of 2 or 3 months earlier than they told me. And I told them, I say, hey, I told you I wasn't gonna be here long, but I came in at 245. I left out at 245. I never lost or gained any weight. So yeah, so that determination, the commitment, and not only that, you're fighting for not you, but you fight for your son, your parents, everybody. Yeah, so yeah, man. So
you mentioned resilience. That
yes.
story, that's perseverance. That's another
Yes.
level. That's
Yes.
another wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Talk about your support team throughout that process. Who were some of the people that you really leaned on?
Yeah, my wife, they went in the doctor's appointment with me every day, making sure I follow through. My son, he kind of a reserve, but he was worried about that. I kind of had to put on that face. Hey, Dad, gonna be all right. But my parents, my siblings, that support my team here. Because I've been around these people 18 years. My support piece. So I had my family, my friends, everybody. Even city leaders, support me. So I that piece there, it only exemplify the things that when you do right and you do things authentic and genuine.
That's right.
Those things happen. That support comes.
It's amazing. Sylvester, before we let you go, man, if you could just talk about your overall fulfillment you get from your job and why is it so important to you to be a servant leader?
Right. Well, I mentioned a little bit earlier when Sylvester Pinckney had both parents. My dad used to rebuild train engines with General Motors, electric motors department. A lot of people don't know, almost 40 years. My mama did 25 years at Maxwell House Coffee. Right. My sibling, my sister works at the property appraiser. My brother is he's a truancy officer here, and he's a head football coach at Duval High School. Yeah. And my baby sister, Florida. So Sylvester Pinckney had a foundation. Right? Yeah. So what motivates and drive me today, these kids don't have that. I do things to whether we give this organization funding or not. I go to places that pretty much the police don't want to go. Not because I'm better, because I created relationships early. Trust, through follow through, create great relationships. So that's why we try to do. We are expanding here at Kids Hope Alliance in the community because they already know I've been doing this before I came here. This is my DNA. How can I help? Just past weekend, me and a couple of friends of mine, we kicked in with 15 Easter baskets and candy for kids who in need. Yeah. And I don't know if I mentioned I'm part of the 100 Black Men in Jacksonville too, Incorporated.
Okay.
Yeah. So we, I just try to be that pillar that's able to navigate in communities where they won't feel left out. To have that hope, because kids today, it's a lot of pressure on them, whether you're an athlete, these star systems. We didn't have any star system when we played, and if we did, our coach said, you can leave that out the door because nobody have stars. So you got to earn it, So these kids dealing with a lot of pressure of trying to meet these expectations. And what we have to do is teach them, hey, it's okay to fail. It's okay to rebound. It's okay to readjust. It's okay to not make it to the professional level, but still be a professional. Still be
Absolutely.
a valued person in your community. Give back. So I try to be that pillar to be able to go out there and be that resource, be that voice for those who don't have anybody home to say, hey, I love you, have a great day. You need anything, those things there. So that's what I try to do. That what drives me.
And with that being said, if people who are in the greater Jacksonville area that want to be a part of the movement that you have going on, how can they get involved?
Yeah, we can go, www.kidshopealliance.org. That's all together.
Right.
And just look at what we do. We are a city agency. The government, if you go to the website, you can see the things that we're doing in the community. Some of the hot issues now is, kids getting ready to get out of school. So summer camp, parents are looking for summer camp. We're pushing the literacy piece. Literacy is as important in anything we do and everything we do. So if they go there, they can kind of see what we do here in Jacksonville, Florida, man. And we're just trying to make an impact to the kids and the family as a whole.
Well, Sylvester, we thank you so much for your time and helping us kick off this series that we have going on, reaching out to sports professionals that are making a huge impact in the community, man. And we thank you so much for bringing people here to the Pro Football Hall of Fame so that they can learn those rich lessons that you learned on the gridiron. Thank you for your time.
Man, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Great job.
Sylvester Pinckney.